It's almost time to go racing for the final time this weekend here in the GB3 Championship as we look out over the beautiful Red Bull Ring in the Styrian Mountains of Austria. So far this weekend we've had two dominant victories by our runaway championship leader, VRD's Nikita Bedrin. But this is the reverse grid race, and for the very first time, Mexican brothers Rodrigo and Patricio Gonzalez have locked out the front row of the grid. We'll hear from our pole sitter in a moment, but first let's remind ourselves of what happened last time out.
Highlights from round 11 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, and it was a great start from Nikita Bedrin from pole position after a short light sequence. For Lucas Flusha, it was the attack into the opening corner, looking to the outside of Martin Molnar, who did not get away well from the front row of the grid, and a big move to the outside for him, saw him take over second position. Deegan Fairclough was battling with Patricio Gonzalez and Abby pulling for 7th position, seeing Deegan Fairclough getting ahead, but exceeding track limits a few times, which was a talk of the race. A lot of drivers exceeding track limits and getting penalties for doing so. None of that though in the top grouping. Nikita Bedrin was perfect, as was Lucas Flusha behind. Meanwhile, further down the order, Leon Wilson was under attack from all three of the hill speeds. To the outside went Dante Vinci. Aurelia Navels tried to get into the inside, and also Peter Balsanellis was in there as well. Bit of a lock-up for Patricio Gonzalez going up into the opening corner. Bit of a lock-up from Max Rem trying to get past his teammate in the fight for 4th position, seeing the two XLs running away ahead of them. It was Max Rem up into 4th position. He'd been promoted though into 3rd after track limit excursions for Rowan Campbell-Pilling would drop him down the order. Patricio Gonzalez and Abby Pulling would fight further down, as it would be Abby Pulling having to settle behind Patricio Gonzalez. But Nikita Bedrin though, it was a 6th victory of the season.
Nikita Bedrin, another race victory, this one from pole position, your 6th race of the season. I mean, get a good start and you ran away with it.
Yeah, it went everything to plan. We managed a really good start and then we just controlled it from the front. Yeah, I'm happy with how I managed the race, and the team gave me a good car to help me with that, of course, so couldn't really be more happy. P1 yesterday, P1 today. The weekend's going really good so far. Let's see what we can do in the last race.
4 podiums in a row now for you. This consistency is incredible.
Yeah, just getting used to it. I mean, yeah, as I said yesterday, we worked really hard. We don't stop working with the team. Always, whenever we finish a race, we go back to watching data, what we can improve for tomorrow. So, yeah, it's the right mindset. It's definitely giving us the good results we deserve. Yeah, just saved a bit of tires there for race 3, and yeah, that's what we can do later.
Does that make up for yesterday?
Not really, I think. And I just had a bad start in this race. I luckily got back my positions in the first lap, so I was 5th. And then we were just in a DRS train for the most of the race. And at one point, I just got kind of bored, and I just thought I might lunge it in. The first move on Martin sort of broke his DRS, and then in the second lap I had DRS, he didn't, so I just chased him up and did him again in turn 3, and it worked out for me. I flat spotted the tyre, so it was a pain to drive it home. And then I think Campbell-Pilling got a track limits penalty, so we finished 3rd. I guess, it still hurts a bit from yesterday, but we have to keep moving and looking forward. And then, we see how the reverse grid race goes.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic weekend so far for the VRD driver Nikita Bedrin, also Lucas Flusha coming 2nd again. As I mentioned in the post-race interview, 4 podiums for him in the last 4 races, the second 2 at Hungary last time out and the first 2 here this weekend. Now he'll start a little bit further back, so another podium for him would be a little bit more of a challenge, but you never know, stranger things have happened. It's around about 24 degrees now, lovely day here in Austria in the mountains, and a nice little cool breeze coming from behind me here, which means that when they're going down the straight, the wind will be behind them going into that first turn, which is slightly elevated, a lot more elevated than it probably looks on the camera. Let's hear from another driver then. We've heard a lot from Excel Motorsport this weekend. Rowan Campbell-Pilling has been in and around it, a couple of penalties for him, and obviously Lucas Flusha has got those 2 podiums. Let's speak to their final driver, their 3rd driver. He'll be starting 17th, but he's already made up quite a few places in the first couple of races this weekend. It's Ricardo Baptista. So we've had 2 races so far this weekend, and a decent result for you in that last one.
Yeah, it was nice. This week we struggled a bit in qualifying. We qualified 17th for race 1 and 15th for race 2 and 3. But fortunately, we've managed to do some good races. We got 2 P10s yesterday and today. So yeah, it was a nice race. Managed to do some overtakes and pretty happy.
And the 3rd race of the weekend, obviously, always the reverse grid race. Do you feel you could do the same or better?
Yeah, no, we've just done it now, so I think we have the same chances. It's just do my best and hopefully the result will come again.
What are the biggest challenges about this track in particular?
This track, I think the main challenge is administering sector 2 and 3 when you are behind somebody, because the last 4 corners of the track are high-speed corners, and you get a lot of aero wash. So even if you have DRS in sector 1, if you don't do a good sector 2 and 3 behind the guy, it's hard to overtake people, and you know the pace usually is just not good. So it's all about administering this aero wash and being able to be fast when you're behind somebody.
We have 10 turns here. It's a fairly short track. Where are the best opportunities for you to overtake?
For sure, T3, because you have the straight between T1 and T3 that's very big. And as well T4, because you also have the DRS straight. So for sure, those are the 2 best overtaking places.
When it comes to things away from the track, have you been watching the World Cup much?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big fan of the World Cup. Unfortunately, Brazil got eliminated last week. I was very sad with that, but I've been watching it.
Do you have another team? Have you got a second team? Are you supporting England over Argentina? I don't know whether Argentina are the enemy for you. I don't know.
Yeah, they are the enemy for most of Brazilians. So at the moment, I'm supporting either England or Spain, because as well they are the only countries that have 1 title. So yeah, hopefully one of them will win.
That makes a lot of sense. And obviously Austria were in the World Cup. They didn't last very long as well. Have you enjoyed being in Austria this weekend?
Yeah, it's very nice. I had been here only once before in my life. I have some family here from Austria, so it's been a very nice time, and you know it's a very beautiful place, very nice place. So yeah.
Hopefully you can finish the weekend off well and sail off into the distance as we head to Silverstone. Congratulations on your results so far, and we look forward to seeing what you can do in this race.
Thank you very much.
Starting in 17th place, Ricardo Baptista. A lot of the drivers on the grid have been watching the football over the last few days or so, some with more success than others. We're going to hear from Abby Pulling in just a second. She's a massive England fan, so she'll be very happy at the moment. And of course, Lucas Flusha, who we spoke to before, second in the championship, supporting Spain, and they're doing incredibly well as well. They'll be playing France in a couple of days. Anyway, we're not here about football, we're here to talk about racing. And as you can see behind me right now, the cars all lining up here in this assembly area, getting ready to go out in the order they'll be going out in. We have the 2 Mexican brothers, as I said, on pole position and the second row of the grid. We've got Abby Pulling starting in 3rd, and therefore we'll talk about the grid in just a second. But first of all, let's just remind ourselves of this track we're racing at. 2 weeks ago, George Russell was winning here in Formula 1. John Bennett, of course, who used to race in GB3, was winning his first F2 race, and now we have some excellent racing in the GB3 Championship here at the Red Bull Ring.
The GB3 Championship heads to the Styrian Mountains for the very first time as we head to the Red Bull Ring. First opened back in 1969 as the Oostenrijk Ring. It was upgraded in 1996 to the circuit we know and love. It is a tricky circuit, but certainly one with great overtaking opportunities. The one into the opening corner at Lauda, up towards Remus, and then down to Schlossgold, where we've got those 2 DRS zones to assist the racing. This middle sector, everything's a little bit more narrow and a little bit more single file. Up the hill and then down into the Rink curve, and that final turn on the circuit at the bottom of the hill as we return onto the start-finish straight. That enormous climb back up into the opening corner, 4.3 kilometres around, 10 turns, most noted for its enormous elevation changes, which make it such a picturesque venue.
Yep, that's the Red Bull Ring here, the 10 turns around this very short circuit. As we look at Abby Pulling on screen, she's going to be looking for a great result from the second row of the grid, and I caught up with her early on in a very nice, relaxing location. Well, I'm now here in the GB3 hub, which is the hospitality unit here, where they have a range of, actually they've only got 3 left, a range of muffins I was going to say, and toasties, but not the cheese ones this weekend. Anyway, I digress. Abby Pulling's with me from Road and Motorsport. Tell me about your weekend so far, Abby.
Yeah, it's been a little bit up and down. Testing, we were figuring things out. It was fast at one point, slow at a lot of points as well. And then qualifying, I just lost out from a toe, really. I got my lap taken off me for track limits. Whether it was in or out, I'll let them, they decided it was out.
There's been a lot of track limits this weekend. Is it tough?
Yeah. I mean, mine was turn 6, so mine was a really weird part of the track where I think I've been like the only turn 6 kind of one all weekend. But yeah, it's been tough. I mean, I've not got a penalty in the races, touch wood, so far from track limits. So yeah, it's quite a bit to keep within, just as the kind of everything goes off, the tyres overheat and so on. The last sector gets really tough to stay within. But yeah, it's been a topic of conversation, let's say. Yeah, qualified a bit to my standard of what I hold myself, a bit mediocrely. Yeah, I looked at the data, lost a lot from a toe, which is frustrating. That just kind of set the weekend out how it has. I think I finished P8 yesterday, and this morning P6. Yeah, it's just a little bit of wheel-to-wheel first few laps need to sort out.
But reverse grid coming up, and you're on the second row of the grid, and the drivers are telling me this weekend that it's actually good to be on the second row because you get a toe up into that first corner. So what can you do from second row, sorry?
Yeah, I think I'm starting P3 after a penalty. I was supposed to start P4. Yeah, I mean, my launch in the last one was brilliant. But we'll see. It all corsetinas into turn 2, 3. A lot of people miss their braking points, so and then end up sailing off. So as long as you're not kind of the one falling foul of that. Cutback is quite hard here because the tyres are overheating, so getting the cutback, you just end up wheel spinning when you set up. The amount of times that in the races I've tried to set up out of turn 2, 3 to get the cutback, and then I've just gone nowhere. You feel a bit like an idiot, but yeah, it's all part of the fun. It's all part of it, and yeah, no safety car in race 2. That meant time management was even more so. So we'll see what happens in the reverse grid race. I imagine it probably will be a bit more chaotic, but yeah, I mean, it's always just, you never know what's going to happen. I think that's the exciting thing about this championship. The racing is close, and you never know what's going to happen. And with how the car is this year, the tyre deg is more, so there's a lot of that to deal with. And as a driver, it's good fun, although it can be annoying when you're not on the right end of it. But it's all good learning.
You've done a lot of learning recently, and we also saw you on the GB4 commentary. You've done 5 live commentary alongside Alice. Are you kind of, sizing up a career for when you finish racing?
I mean, I'd like to race for the rest of my life.
All right, a sideline, a side hustle.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's something that I think it also helps a lot as well, being good at that stuff. And like, I have to say, like, in school English, I was so bad at, like, anything in that regard, but I can talk for England, so that helps me with the commentary stuff. But yeah, I think it's a good kind of skill to have, and it helps you in the media side of your own personal racing and your career and so on. But yeah, I'm not opposed to doing it. A lot of good racing drivers have then gone on to go into more of the kind of media and punditry-esque roles, and I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say no to it. End of the day, I've got to pay my bills. So you
got to pay for your performance coach that's going to tell me off if I don't let you go soon to get some food. Finally, you've not actually watched the England game from last night, but England into the semi-finals. I know you're a big football fan, despite being a Tottenham fan. Is it going to come home?
I hope so. I mean, they're doing a brilliant job. I was a bit sceptical at the start with the lineup that they brought, but I mean, I've not been able to watch any of the games really because I've been racing. But didn't expect them to beat Norway. It was basically in England versus Haaland, and they managed it. So we'll see what they can do. I don't even know when the next game is.
It's Wednesday night against Argentina.
That'll be a tough one.
Messi versus Bellingham.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good game. Anyway, we have to let Abby go now, so let's take a look at what it looks like from Abby's perspective and the rest of the 18 drivers on a hot lap.
Let's take a look at the Red Bull Ring, then on board with Rowan Campbell-Pilling for the XL Motorsports team, and it all begins immediately with this run into the opening corner at the Niki Lauda curve. Big curve on the inside and that big sausage curve on the left-hand side as you leave. You've got to be careful not to hit either of those because it'll delay your run out of the corner and leave you vulnerable in this opening DRS zone. We now got the steepest climb of the circuit into Remus, effectively the third corner on the track, and basically a tight hairpin. Goes from 6th all the way down to 2nd, and now we pass over the highest point of this track and start going downhill towards Slosgold. Very difficult braking zone as it is downhill, so easy it is to lock the front right of the car in this braking zone, but a great overtaking opportunity as we end the 2nd DRS zone. Now this is where overtakes will be less likely, but still possible. We've got this right-hand kick going into this double left-hander. We've got the first one here, very late apex, blind as you roll your way through, off camber as well, and be careful of that gravel trap on the right-hand side. Now going into turn 7 as they head their way out through the 2nd sector, through turn 8, and then rise back up again before the final 2 corners. We've got the Rindt curve at turn 9, which is blind on the entrance. You throw it in as hard as you can, get it to the apex without touching that curb on the inside, as that will just push you out onto those sawtooth curves. One final corner to deal with at turn 10, and that is a look around the roller coaster of the Red Bull Ring.
Well, that's Abby Pulling starting third as we see Lucas Flusha in second in the championship going out. Maxime Rem there in the black and white Rodin. And Martin Molnar, very popular driver last time out in Hungary. He's starting a little bit further back in this reverse grid race. Nikita Bedrin, he's already won 2 races this season. His teammate Rodrigo Gonzalez is on pole position alongside his brother Patricio Gonzalez. And I caught up with our pole sitter before the race. So the final race of the weekend here in Austria. You and your brother alongside each other on the front row of the grid. How often has that happened before?
I think it's first time in our open wheel career that we start together at the front.
It's a very cool thing to have shared together, but obviously you will go into turn 1 hoping to have that first place. Have you had a conversation about maybe keeping it clean, or do you not have to have that conversation?
No, we always keep it clean between each other, but of course I want to stay at front. But no, we're going to work together and maximize the result.
Of course. And how have you found this weekend here at the Red Bull Ring? It's a very cool track, but a very short track.
Yeah, it's very short. I like this track a lot. Struggled a little bit in quali, but race pace wise, I think I'm fast, and I have enjoyed the weekend so far.
And obviously your teammate Nikita's doing incredibly well. That must be really positive for the team when maybe the result doesn't go your way. You can see what he's doing and know that you've got the car that can give you those results.
Yeah, exactly. Nikita has been great help, like looking at data and everything to like improve myself and the whole team and everything. So yeah, it's been good.
He's also raced here a lot as well, so you've got that experience from him.
Yeah, true. He has given me a couple of tips, but just focused right now for this race.
If you were to convert this into a race win, what do you need to get right in this racetrack?
The start, I think it's critical, and not lose time with my brother and work together and stay at the front.
Well, we look forward to seeing this first for many on this front row of this grid for this reverse grid race, and hopefully we'll speak to you on the podium.
Yeah, thank you.
In Austria, it's obviously a first weekend that GB3 has come to Austria to race here at the Red Bull Ring, back in the pit lane now, but also a first, as we heard there, for the Mexican brothers to start on pole position and second on the grid. So a front row lockout for the Mexicans. Hello to everybody watching in Mexico. Thank you for joining us nice and early in the morning. But Abby Pulling and Kyuho Lee just behind on the second row of the grid. We've heard it before this weekend. They'll be getting a great tow from those 2 drivers on the front row of the grid straight up that hill into turn 1. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens with the start there. We heard from Nikita Bedrin, who's already won here twice this weekend, who said that getting a good start is the most important thing here at the Red Bull Ring, especially if you're at the front. So for Rodrigo Gonzalez, he's going to be wanting to get the jump on his brother, make sure he goes into that first corner ahead of him. But if you're his brother, you're going to be fighting. You know what sibling rivalry's like. Then we think of other drivers that can do pretty well here. Abby Pulling, we know, we've seen her win a race before. She's going to be starting on the second row of the grid with Kyuho Lee, as I said. And then you look at the other drivers that are going to be looking to come through. There's a lot further back that are going to be quicker than the drivers in front of them. I'm thinking about Martin Molnar, Maxime Rem, who we've seen, and of course Nikita Bedrin, who could in theory win 3 races this weekend. He'd have to do quite a lot though to take 3 race victories, but already he is mounting a massive lead in the championship. But Lucas Flusha, the nearest driver, in his second, but already a lead of I think almost triple figures now. So it's looking great for Nikita Bedrin, a driver who has raced around this track in many different series before. Of course, he was in FIA F3 before, and he was in Formula Regional, I believe, and I think one of the F4 championships, maybe Italian F4 as well. So he knows this track really well, but these drivers will have done their homework, they'll have done their sim work, they'll have looked at the data from the first 2 races already. So there are lots of points they will be working on, and they will be fighting for every single place in this reverse grid race. I can see the cars coming up now. They've just been down on their lap to grid up. They'll do a formation lap in just a second before we get this race started. So you can see behind me the Excel Motorsport team. They're getting ready in case any last minute changes need to be made. They'll be rushing out onto the grid in just a second, but we're ready to hand over to Lewis McGlade as we go racing for the final time this weekend here at the Red Bull Ring.
Reverse grid action in the GB3 Championship about ready to get underway for the third time this year. We head to the Red Bull Ring for the first time in GB3's history. It's been a fantastic couple of races that we've had here, both of which have been won by championship leader Nikita Bedrin. Can he do it for a third race in a row? Let's remind ourselves the Circle Racing Act, all the overtaking opportunities that go with it up towards the Mickey Lauda curve, the big climb into the opening corner before the first DRS zone is active, up towards Remus at turn 3 before we flick through the right-hander, dropping back down the hill over the highest point of the circuit before we get down to Schlossgold, and then the two right-handers, two left-handers rather, through the middle of the circuit at Rausch and Graz. The final two corners at the Rindt curve and the 10th and last back onto the start-finish straight. Big rises up into the opening corner. The steepest rise around this circuit is that run up towards Remus. That's where things get very, very difficult, and the highest point of the circuit on the exit of the Remus curve. 65 metres in terms of elevation. Plenty of 19 cars to take on, and lots of stats obviously to throw around and talk about. Largest championship leader, pretty sure we've had, certainly at this point in the championship here in GB3 for Nikita Bedrin. You'll have to do a lot of work from 12th position, but he could still extend that championship lead. He's got a 90.1 at the moment. It is all Gonzalez though on the front row. Rodrigo from Patricio Gonzalez makes the first All Brothers front row in GB3 history. Abby Pulling will start from third position, searching for her second victory in the GB3 Championship. Hugh Lee will start alongside. Leon Wilson unfortunately dropped down and was the last runner, and actually retired right at the end of last race. He'll start from fifth position alongside Dante Vinci. Deegan Fairclough will start from seventh alongside Rowan Cam and Pilling. The pair of them picked up track limit excursions and penalties for it. Lucas Flucher is aiming for a record-breaking 5 podiums in a row. He'll start alongside Maxim Rem inside the top 10. Martin Molnar will start from 11th position alongside championship leader Nikita Bedrin. Behind that, it's all hill speed, Aurelien Nobels and Peter Bowser-Nellis, the pair of them finishing outside the top 10 in the previous race, along with a fight with their teammate as well. Flynn Jackson will start from 15th position, no chance of him taking a reverse grid victory here. Inside Lewis Gilbert, Ricardo Baptista and Yu Hao Fu on the penultimate row of the grid, the last one being Jacob Mikolev, who also received a penalty after the previous race. A lot of track limit violations in the previous race. I worked it out as I think it was 19 separate penalties for track limits, and I'm sure Race Control have had a conversation with our drivers here in GB3 to suggest that maybe we can keep it within track limits here in the third race of the weekend. We had 2 safety cars in the opening race, none in the previous. We'll have to wait and see what is going to happen here today. Obviously, it is a fairly toasty day here in Spielberg at Austria, and you can see 26 degrees Celsius, overcast. Sure, so the track temperature won't be too high, but it certainly will be getting up a little bit around the circuit, especially once we start throwing these cars around. Bit of cloud coverage, but not too major. For VRD Racing, they've already taken 2 victories around here in the hands of Nikita Bedrin. Can Rodrigo Gonzalez or Patricio Gonzalez take their first victory, take their first podium? They've had 22 races in GB3. They're entering their 23rd, and they have a chance to do it now, their best possible opportunity to do it now. The last time Rodrigo Gonzalez started on the front row of the grid, it was second place at Silverstone, ended up finishing in 4th on that occasion, just 1 position shy of the podium. They'll stare at the lights ahead of them and they'll get themselves ready. 25 minutes back onto the clock with Gonzalez in control. The yellow flags, yeah, I was going to say the extra formation up there, the yellow lights on top. Clearly there was some issue there with the grid procedure. So we'll lose a couple of minutes from the race as they'll begin a second formation lap. Not 100% sure as to why. There is a staller there. Is that Deegan Fairclough, I wonder? Right in the middle of shot as they all pick their way through. That is indeed the number 6 of Deegan Fairclough. So it was going to start this race from 7th. Has had a whole host of retirements from the season. 5 retirements from this season so far in the 10 races that have been run. And it looks as though it might be 6 from 11 for Deegan Fairclough, although this one would technically count as it did not start. His luck this season, minimal would not be the way I'd put it. Non-existent might well be closer. They'll wheel his car back into pit lane, and the high-tech team will see if they can get that one re-fired up. And maybe will get themselves back into the race, if anything though, from the pit lane and at the back of the field. So it won't be a 25-minute race. I believe it will go down to 23 from race, 22 even from race control, as we'll lose a lap or two. Obviously, you can't just run a 25-minute race from this point, not only because timetables and such on race weekends are pretty tight and are laid out in a certain way to make sure that the whole host of series that are racing here at the Red Bull Ring carry on, but also because these cars are fueled up to a very specific level. And if you have another formation lap and then continue on the race as normal, well, you might not have enough fuel at the end to provide a sample, at which point you'll have a whole host of disqualifications, which no one wants to see. So the second formation lap will come to a close. Rodrigo and Patricio both will have a little calm run back towards their grid positions, and they'll go through their processes again as to how this race will unfold. They've already gone through that mindset before. Sometimes, we always talk about this when there is a second formation lap. For some drivers, the second formation lap is nothing. It's fine. Don't worry about it. They'll just get themselves back into the mindset. For other drivers, they've already built themselves up into that mental position, and then suddenly they're kind of having to do it all over again, and it can be harder to do it for a second time. There is the race control message top of your screen. To confirm what I said earlier, it's 22 minutes will be the updated race time. So losing what will effectively actually be 2 laps of racing. It's about a minute and 20 to get around here, so close to 3 laps of racing removed from this one, as they all find their way back into position, and will leave the grid slot open or the 7th grid slot open for Deegan Fairclough. So Rowan Campbell-Pilling, who you can see on the right hand side of your screen, has to make sure that he stops behind his teammate, and he certainly does, and he'll have a perfectly clear run up towards the open corner. I might actually correct myself, because it'll be Lucas Flusher. Of course it will be. Lucas Flusher with the clear run up towards the opening turn. Can he get himself a record-breaking 5th consecutive podium? Joel Gramfors and he, Lucas Flusher, both have 4 consecutive podiums with no technicality in between. It could be 5 here. We're ready to go. The lights are on, and we are racing for the 3rd and final time this weekend. Great start from Abby Pulling from 3rd position. She said she had a rocket ship when we were having the interviews before the race, and she certainly tried that one there. To the inside, she's going to go, but she's actually going to get caught up a little bit in the opening corner, and Q-Ho Lee is going to come straight around the outside. Perfect start from Abby Pulling, unfortunately with nowhere to go. And look at this, about to get absolutely freight-trained. Leon Wilson's coming through, 3 wide behind her as well, the white and black car. It is Rodrigo Gonzalez leading from Patricio Gonzalez. And the closest fight there, Q-Ho Lee defending from Leon Wilson. Abby Pulling with a bit of a spin there from Max Rem. Oh, and Abby Pulling's got caught up in it, as well as the number 8 of Rowan Campbell-Pilling. 3 cars out of the race on the spot, and Abby Pulling right in the middle. Max Rem was out wide. I think he got beached a little bit on the sausage curb, and to the surprise of absolutely no one, safety car's about to come out. Leon Wilson's gone off the road there as well, battling with Q-Ho Lee. That was the 3rd position. And Leon Wilson will rejoin the racetrack in 4th as everything gets neutralised. The main point that I would pick up on here is who's come through into 5th position. Well, I mean, I can update you with that one immediately, because we'll get the update once they've come round onto the start-finish straight. But that is Nikita Bedrin, who's gone from 11th position all the way up to 5th, which is almost unsurprising, considering 3 cars did crash into each other ahead of him, and obviously he just picked his way through. But Nikita Bedrin, once again, proving his calm and collected attitude and approach here to the GB3 Championship in 2026. Rodrigo Gonzalez, sorry, Patricio Gonzalez ahead of Rodrigo Gonzalez. Rodrigo with the red, Patricio with the yellow. 3 cars out of the race, technically 4. Deegan Fairclough a non-start. And Lucas Flusher has returned to the pit lane. You can see some front wing damage, unfortunately, for Flusher's car. So the XL team will have to put in a lot of work. Just saw them in the background there. XL not gone well here. They've got Ricardo Baptista, who's down the road. They've got 1 car out and Rowan Campbell-Pilling. See this one? So it was the outside. It was Lucas Flusher who tapped the rear end of Max Rem there, who then came across his teammate Abby Pulling and Rowan Campbell-Pilling. And the pair of them, or the trio of them rather, is out of the race. And that explains as to why there was the contact, and I can kind of see race control dishing out a penalty there for Lucas Flusher. The incident has been noted by race control with an incident between the 1, 3 and the 8. They will chuck the 7. into that as well of Lewis Flusha. But for VRD Racing, there is a chance here, and a good chance here, of a 1-2-3. Patricio and Rodrigo sit first and second, and with Nikita Bedrin running in 5th place, I mean, the chances are he could get his way through and onto the podium. I'm trying to recall if there was any time. It only really would have happened last year, and I don't think it couldn't have happened. I was thinking, I'm like, because Abby Pulling, was there a time when Rodin, is what I'm trying to think of, was there a time when Rodin had a 1, 2 and 3 during the race? Abby Pulling only had one podium that season. It was in the reverse grid race at Brands Hatch, which Alex Ninovic and Gianmarco Pradel did not join on the podium in that. So we've not had a 1, 2, 3 last season. I failed to recall a time where there would have been a 1, 2, 3 before that. Abby Pulling did have the best start of the top lot, but unfortunately had nowhere to go in all that. Patricio Gonzalez was able to hang on as they went into the opening corner. The red of Rodrigo was around the outside. Kyuho Lee also picked his way through in all of that as well. And Abby Pulling dropped back then into the clutch of those behind, which is where the incident came from. Got aggressive to the outside with Max Rem, and the contact between Rem and Flusha basically meant that she was one, along with Rowan Campbell-Pilling, relatively innocent in that instance, and they were definitely thrown out of this race. 4 retirements: Pulling, Campbell-Pilling, Rem and Fairclough on the non-start. Patricio Gonzalez leading his brother Rodrigo Gonzalez. There is the number 8 of Rowan Campbell-Pilling's car retrieved. Obviously the marshals have one tractor around this part of the circuit, so they've got to do, they might have 2 actually, because they might have stolen one from another part of the track, as they try and retrieve the cars and get them out of the way. There might even be a 3rd. Obviously not JCBs. I barely call these a Zoom Boom, but regardless, the tractors are indeed retrieving those 3 cars that are out. For Lewis Flusha, he has returned to the track, and I believe should be able to join up. He will be able to join up to the rear end of Yu Hao Fu at the back. Chances of a podium from there are very unlikely, but not necessarily impossible. It obviously depends on a huge amount of things that could well happen ahead. But you've got to say, for a few of these drivers, it has not been a fairly fortuitous double-header weekend here in the GB3 Championship. Our races that we had at the Hungaroring, our races that we've had here at the Red Bull Ring, only a week separating the 6 races that we've had. Abby Pulling retired from 2 of them at the Hungaroring, left these with no podiums, even though she surely would have been pretty confident there was at least one on the table. For Deegan Fairclough, it'll be 3 retirements for him. Thankfully, there was 1 victory back in the Hungaroring. For Rowan Campbell-Pilling, there is also 1 retirement, 1 podium as well, which happened in race 3 back in Spa, his first podium in GB3, but he was promoted onto that, so didn't get to step onto the podium with his own feet, just in his mind after the race. Safety car will potentially be coming in, maybe not at the end of this lap, as they get Max Rem's car out of the way. It's another one of those ones where you look at those top in the championship. My goodness me. Oof, yeah, drop that one down. Bit of a giggle from the marshals as they try and rescue Max Rem's car. Nikita Bedrin has a 90-point championship lead. With him being in 5th position, Lewis Flusha is down in 15th place. Max Rem is out of the race. He sits 3rd in the championship. Martin Molnar, who is 4th in the championship, but is 106 points off, is the only one in that top contingent that's still left in this, and he himself is only 9th in this race. 5th place in the championship, Patricio Gonzalez is the one currently leading. He's 167 points behind his teammate at the top of the championship. So, in all likelihood here, we're talking about Nikita Bedrin entering the second half of the season with more than a 100-point lead, which I can tell you for sure is unheard of in GB3. That is a very, very large gap. I'll have to dig through the history books and the spreadsheets and update you when we get racing at Silverstone at the start of next month as to what the largest championship lead has ever been in GB3's history, because 100 points, I can guarantee, I think even 90 points would be it, which is what Nikita Bedrin currently has. As Those 3 cars have been returned, so the safety car will almost certainly be coming into the pit lane at the end of this lap, and we'll probably have, by the time it's back round, bearing in mind it takes them about 3 minutes to complete this lap here under the safety car. We've got about 11.5 minutes left to go in this race, 1 minute 20 seconds a lap, so it's about 10 laps of racing. 10 laps of racing by the time we get back going. And for Patricio and Rodrigo, who we did hear pre-race, they've never started. Or at least in their, I'm sure they have in karting and stuff. They were saying that in their Formula career, never started on the same row as each other. So to do that around a circuit like this is always a fun experience. And I'm sure both of them would want to take their first podium in GB3 at the same time in the same race. There's something very fitting about that one. Obviously, it's a personal best finish for Patricio of 5th. He's done that twice this weekend and once back in Silverstone. For Rodrigo, despite him being quite a lot further down in the championship, Rodrigo's best finish is actually better with 4th in the reverse grid race back in Silverstone. Just doesn't quite have the consistency of Patricio for the VRD Racing team. Like I say, it could well be a first ever 1, 2 and 3 for a team. And like I say, it could be a very interesting one there for VRD Racing, as they will be extending their championship lead on the team side of things. Obviously, Rodin won't be happy. 2 of their cars out of the race. Yeah, other teams that we would expect to maybe be up there in and around. High Tech, well, they're having a very frustrating weekend so far with the did not start there for Deegan Fairclough, and it leaves Yuhao Fu and Jacob Mikulev in 10th and 14th for them. Safety car coming in this lap. That is the update from race control. And it'll be just under 12 minutes of racing. The pace car, the safety car, oh goodness me, not America. The safety car did speed up a little bit there once the track was clear, just to make sure that we get as much potential racing as possible. As into the final sector they go, with roughly 10 laps ahead of us in this race. Patricio Gonzalez brings the field to an absolute crawl, accelerates between the 2 final corners and drags away from his brother Rodrigo Gonzalez. Q-Ho Lee in there. That's Nikita Bedrin out wide at the final corner as he drags into the slipstream of Leon Wilson, who retired from the previous race right at the end. He still managed to get scored as 19th position, but he might well get dropped down here into 5th. Nikita Bedrin with a look to the inside. The charcoal grey and red of Nikita Bedrin gets through into 4th position, sets his sights on Q-Ho Lee, and maybe all 3 races a victory for Nikita Bedrin. We'll have to wait and see if he can do so. The defensive line came in from Nikita Bedrin. He's trying to keep Leon Wilson at bay. As we search down at the VRD Racing team, he does keep the Arden behind. Nikita Bedrin remains in 4th. Flynn Jacks has made great progress in this race. Started from 15th, currently runs in 6th. As he looks down the inside here of Leon Wilson. Can he get into the top 5? It would be VRD Racing and Elite all locking out that top 5 if he can do it. He's got to get to the outside here at Schlossgold. Risky move, brilliant move there. Potentially coming in from Flynn Jacks. They remain side by side. It's Flynn Jacks in the bright yellow. It's the Arden there of Wilson in the red and white, who's now going full send around the outside of turn 6. Plenty of battles in behind as the recovery drive happens from Lucas Fluscher. I do believe after all of that, there hasn't been the move coming in from Flynn Jacks. Leon Wilson was able to hang on with a big kick of oversteer coming up through turn 8. He's right back on the rear end of Nikita Bedrin. 1 lap complete after the safety car restart. Patricio and Rodrigo Gonzalez lead the VRD Racing 1-2. Q-Ho Lee in 3rd position as DRS does get enabled. Bedrin will be giving that out to Wilson. He'll be grabbing just a little bit there off of Q-Ho Lee, who was himself looking down the inside of Rodrigo Gonzalez. VRD Racing want this to be a 1-2-3. I think Nikita Bedrin has got to get past Q-Ho Lee very soon, because Lee is looking fast, he's looking strong, he's looking pacey and aggressive for the Elite Motorsport team. Searching for a podium here, a first podium of his career in the GB3 Championship. Leon Wilson, who's just sitting behind as well, searching for his personal best result, which at the moment this season sits at an 8th place in the opening round of the championship. About 2 top 10s to open the season did Leon Wilson, and of course in the 10 races that he's done, that remains his best performance. Bit of a lock up there from Flynn Jacks And Aurelien Abels is right behind for the Hillspeed team. There is the 2XLs, that is Baptista and Flusha switching. Flusha will be the one that cut to the inside and has gained the spot, so Flusha is up now into 12th position. And closing in on Peter Bowser Nellis as Gonzalez, the two Gonzalez brothers at the front, only separated by half a second. Obviously the fast lap of the previous went the way of Patricio, but this will be a little bit more representative. Further up, Flynn Jacks, Aurelien Abels, they were very close there, and it was the switch, or the defence rather, coming in from Bowser Nellis against Lucas Flusha into the penultimate corner. Searching the background for those, and there isn't going to be a switch forward. Aurelien Abels in the yellow highlighted Hillspeed car. It's red, black, and the yellow front wing and rear wing. Got a teammate directly behind in Dante Vinci. Martin Molnar as well in 9th place, who's obviously at this rate potentially going to go up a position in the championship past his teammate Max Rem. There's your two leaders for VRD Racing, the 21 ahead of the 22. Kyuho Lee's early pressure seems to have dissipated slightly as Mikulev was keeping Bowser Nellis at bay, and Flusha also in that as well. I think Flusha might actually have remained at the back of this. It has actually, so Ricardo Baptista actually was able to keep Flusha at bay, and it's Baptista looking one way then back the other. Flusha is the second of the XL cars, those purple, white and pink cars, the number 7 on his one. He's the one that sits at the moment behind this quartet battling that's led by Mikulev. This is the 10th position. It's Mikulev ahead of Baptista, ahead of Flusha, and Bowser Nellis, who I believe has dropped down behind the group. Back up the field to Aurelien Abels, Dante Vinci and Martin Molnar, 7th, 8th and 9th. Very close between the two XLs. Look to the outside, the right-hand side of your screen. That one will be Lucas Flusha, picking up the slipstream of Mikulev, backs out of it into the penultimate corner and remains single file. Kyuho Lee set the fastest lap of the race. 7 minutes and 20 seconds left to go of this one. 3/10 behind Rodrigo Gonzalez. And time is ticking away at present. It takes about 1 minute 20 to get round. We should have 5 laps from this point. And so for Kyuho Lee, those opportunities are running out. This is back to the fight for 7th position. Aurelien Abels with her teammate Dante Vinci. Martin Molnar looks to the outside as they come towards the right-hander at the top of the hill. Bit of contact between the two hill speeds. Martin Molnar goes up and under in the black and blue Rodin car, and he will find his way through on both of them as he gets past Abels, gets past Vinci. Mikulev's keeping one of the XLs behind as well in the background. Molnar does complete that move. Will there be the switch here? Down the inside, getting aggressive for Baptista. Flusha's trying the up and under as well. We'll get past Mikulev here in the number 4, the silver high-tech car. And that could be the move done for the Spaniard. Back to the inside he looks once more of his teammate, but can't quite get through on Ricardo Baptista. But Baptista at least opened the door for him to come through. Lewis Gilbert out of the race, stuck in that gravel trap, and it will be a safety car. That is Slosh Gold, where he's gone off and the car is beached. So tricky there with the way the curb is, and obviously the gravel trap immediately there to greet you. The amount of open wheels we've seen in that gravel trap getting beached beggars belief. The tractor already released to go and gather that car, so I suspect this will not be the final laps of racing that we'll see this afternoon. I'm sure we'll be back racing with Patricio and Rodrigo Gonzalez ready to try and duke it out for their first victories, but they're doing a great job at present to hang on to their steps on the rostrum. Bedrin, I don't think the chance for Bedrin to win all 3 races is really there. And in my mind, I don't. In fact, I can almost guarantee it's not happened in GB3 before. It has happened in GB4 before, or we've had one driver take all 3 race victories. I believe Cooper Webster definitely did it, and obviously Nicholas Taylor did it in the first season. The second attempt, we went back to Silverstone. Car 5 with a 5-second time penalty for exceeding track limits, and so it begins. That'll be Yu Hao Fu, 14th position. We had 19 in the previous race, track limit excursions, and penalties for track limit excursions. Suspect we're not going to get 19 in this one with 5 minutes left to go, as the safety car has neutralised the field, and Yu Hao Fu joins the end, and Lewis Gilbert adds himself to the retirement list that has Rem pulling, Campbell pulling and Fairclough all on it at the moment. You can see the crawl there for the safety car as You can see there was a hand out of the car gesturing to the drivers behind to basically keep it tight whilst that car is recovered. We won't be racing at the end of this one, I believe, but maybe at the end of the next. And that will leave us, depending on the speed of the safety car, with just 1 lap left to go in this one. 4 minutes and 10 seconds. They could slow it down to an absolute crawl here, and they could bring the safety car in this lap. At which point we would have 3 laps of racing, which I'm certainly all up for, and we'll see if that is going to be the case. Obviously, by the safety car, it doesn't have to drive around at a designated speed, it can control the speed of the field, and the safety car lights have gone off. So the safety car will be in this lap. Patricio and Rodrigo Gonzalez will have 3 laps left to decide who is going to win the final race here at the Red Bull Ring, our opening venture over into Austria in the GB3 Championship. Another country to add to this. Obviously, we have a brand new track to add to the season as well later on in the year for our season finale when we go racing at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. But for here and now, we get to enjoy this weekend in one of the most iconic and picturesque locations in the entire world of motorsport. Patricio Gonzalez leads the field away once again. Rodrigo Gonzalez in tow. Nikita Bedrin on the previous restart was able to pick up a position on Leon Wilson. Can he do so here on Q-Ho Lee, who's very close to the rear end of Rodrigo Gonzalez. On to the end of the start-finish straight they go. Patricio will continue to lead. Big look to the inside there between the 2 hill speeds. That was Dante Vinci down the inside of Aurelien Nabels. And Nabels has gone off the road. Will rejoin there, having lost the 3 positions potentially, not only to her teammate, but also to the 2 XL cars as well. Martin Molnar in the black and blue is getting aggressive here on Flynn Jacks. That is for 6th position. Molnar there on the right-hand side of your screen in the black and blue. The bright yellow of Flynn Jacks is able to hang on. And Dante Vinci is going to squeeze Baptista off the road. That's a freebie for Flusha. He will drag the slipstream off of Dante Vinci's hill speed car and find his way through. Outside look comes in from Martin Molnar, the Hungarian, deep on the brakes. Flynn Jacks deep on the brakes as well. Bit of a lock up there from Jackson, the elite car. Up and under, trying to get underneath him. It leaves him on the outside. There was a car off the road in all of that. We'll update you to who that was in just a second. But as there is the attempt coming in from Martin Molnar. Has he got through? No, he has not. Flynn Jacks holds on for now. Patricio leads from Rodrigo, from Lee, from Bedrin. Does seem though we're not going to get any history broken. We're not going to have the 1, 2, 3. We're not. Well, we still might, but we're not going to have 5 consecutive podiums from Lucas Flusha. That one is for sure. Can he keep his top 10 streak alive? That remains to be seen. 2 laps left to go. DRS has been enabled, and Q-Ho Lee is on to the rear end of Rodrigo Gonzalez. The Gonzalez brothers looking for their first podium. Q-Ho Lee looking for his first podium. Nikita Bedrin, oh, he's definitely not. He's had a whole host of 6 victories so far in the 2026 season. That was Mikolev off the road from 11th position as he bounced over the exit of the opening corner. Here comes a look to the inside. Lee in the bright yellow. He was filling the mirrors there of the 22 of Rodrigo Gonzalez, but there was not the option for a move. Number 4 of Mikolev now ahead of Juho Fu, but now behind Bowser Nellis is once again a fight for second spot. Q-Ho Lee with the outside. Can he do it all the way around the outside? Touch wrist and contact, and it's going to be Rodrigo Gonzalez out of the race along with Q-Ho Lee. Nikita Bedrin will find his way onto the podium with Leon Wilson as well. It has ripped the suspension straight off the rear end of Q-Ho Lee, who did not deserve that. That's very unfortunate, and an unfortunate way to end the penultimate lap for him. He's still trying to drag the car around the circuit. I'm not sure he knows exactly how broken it is, but the answer to that question is very, as he'll try and limp his way at least to a marshal post to get that car out of the way. Patricio Gonzalez, though, will continue to lead. Shame for Rodrigo Gonzalez, just a little bit aggressive there on the inside, locked the front right and pushed out into the side there of the elite car, promoting Bedrin up to second spot as we head on to the final lap of the race. Bedrin from Wilson, from Flynn Jacks, from Molnar, the top 5, with Patricio Gonzalez continuing to lead with just one final run around this iconic circuit left to go. Dante Vinci's right onto the rear end as well of Martin Molnar in the background. Molnar in the black and blue, Dante Vinci in the black, red and white there as they return to single file. Molnar's the closest one to make a look. Here he goes down the inside of Flynn Jacks. Can he complete the move in the black and blue? Yes, he can. Flynn Jacks trying the up and under. That one's not going to work. Flusha also dragging his way back into contention for the fight for the top 5. That has Molnar now ahead of Flynn Jacks. just about tiny margins. It is going to be a VRD Racing 1-2, you'd have to say. But which way round? Is there an opportunity for Bedrin to go through? I'd say on his teammate, probably not. If it was anyone else, you might have a look into the penultimate corner if he's close enough, but this time, maybe not. There is Flynn Jacks keeping Dante Vinci at bay. Flynn Jacks in the yellow, Vinci in the black and red, and Lucas Flusha in the white, purple and pink, who's had the better run here off of turn 8. Can he make the move? He looks to the outside going up the hill towards turn 9, the penultimate corner of this race, of this round, as there's a big bit of debris being flicked off there going into the final corner. For Patricio Gonzalez, it's going to be a first victory here in the GB3 Championship as VRD Racing sweep the weekend here in Spielberg. It's Bedrin extending his championship lead again, and Leon Wilson onto the podium for the very first time in his career. Molnar will finish in 4th with Flynn Jacks in 5th. And again, a chaotic end to the race, as sometimes we expect here in GB3. But a great drive from our championship leader once more. Just managed to piece everything together. Rodrigo Gonzalez, of course, the retirement from the race. And a big shame for it on that final lap, along with Lee as well, as the drivers will calm themselves down, but I'm sure Patricio Gonzalez will be very happy. I think he'll be, I'm sure there will be a little bit of disappointment for him that his brother will not be joining him on the podium. That would have been a very sweet thing for the team, but unfortunately it will not work out that way for the VRD Racing team, and they'll have to just settle for the 1-2 with Patricio ahead of Nikita Bedrin. Bit of celebrations there between the two of them. And for Leon Wilson, one of our promoted drivers, he obviously took part of the GB4 Championship in the couple of years previous, has found himself onto the rostrum on an international stage as well, which is always a positive thing for a new driver at this level to find themselves in that position where they can move themselves forward and get themselves into contention for results, top 5s, podiums, and what have you. He did a really good run the opening round at Silverstone with a couple of top 10s, and now continuing that form in a chaotic reverse grid race, which of course we were robbed at Spa. We didn't get our reverse grid race at the circuit, the Spa-Francorchamps, but we've certainly had 3 others that have delivered their fair shares of drama. The Silverstone one is an absolute classic, by the way. Definitely go and check that one out if you haven't already, if you're new to joining us here in the GB3 Championship. We'll wait for the cars to head their way into pit lane. When they do, we'll be able to catch up with our top 3 finishers as they drag their way in. Wonder how happy Patricio Gonzalez has been. I will say, when it comes to bubbles this weekend and spreading them on the podium, we have had a couple of very top-tier efforts from our drivers, so I suspect this trio has to deliver as well, because there's no need to do your washing between the races, because we've got a long time, 3 weeks until we're racing at Silverstone, the home of British motor racing, so I'm expecting some big bubbles on the podium. Climbing out of the car, really with a lot of excitement, a lot of jubilation there for our race winner Patricio Gonzalez. He almost looks knackered, he's plugged in and everything, obviously to the radios that we have here in GB3 in 2026. He looks fairly happy, probably a bit exhausted, to be honest. That's I know it's only 25 minutes of racing and there was a couple of safety cars out there as well, but still, you would be a little bit tired after throwing a car around a circuit like this, especially to that middle sector. It can be very, very difficult to throw his way around. VRD Racing getting the 1-2 and obviously being navigated their way towards the scales again. Liam Wilson already over there. I'm sure he will be pretty happy with a first podium in the championship, which is one of those ones that can open the floodgates for Arden. Can this turn things around? Obviously, Lewis Gilbert, his teammate, was a retirement from the race, but for Leon Wilson to grab the decent points that go with third, and showing that he has the pace in the race. I know Nikita Bedrin got through on the restart, but he did keep up with Nikita Bedrin all the way after that, which in itself is a pretty solid performance, considering the pace that Nikita Bedrin has shown throughout this current season of the GB3 Championship, when he's got relatively insurmountable lead. We'll hand down to Jon Jackson though to catch up with Patricio, with Nikita and with Leon Wilson.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Patricia, congratulations, your first GB3 victory. How does it feel?
Honestly, it feels amazing, especially was fighting with my brother the whole race, so it feels really good.
It must be slightly disappointing that you're not sharing the podium with your brother.
Yeah, obviously I would have wanted him here in the podium. Our first 2 podiums together, it would be nice.
Yeah, and obviously your teammate Nikita though, making it a 1-2, so that's great for the team as well. You must have a lot of people watching at home that you might want to say something to?
I really want to thank my family and the whole team for making it possible.
It's been a great weekend for the team, a great way to end it for you. Congratulations, we'll let you go and get your trophy.
Thank you.
There we go, great victory there for Patricio. We'll speak to Nikita Bedrin. It wasn't maybe the 1-2 we were expecting. Nikita, one position away from making it 3 wins from 3, but a little bit of luck there to get second.
Yeah, honestly, it was a crazy start. I think I've done a really good decision on the first lap in G2, where to go, where to avoid the mess. Was honestly just surviving this race with a very old tire, so it was honestly crazy to drive the car. But you know, we kept it in one piece, we kept it in one place, and we just took our opportunities when we had them, so we ended up P1 and P2 for the team.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. We finished this round, I think we go into the second half of the season. I imagine you may have a triple-digit lead in the championship. That's a great place to be.
Yeah, honestly, speechless weekend. The amount of points we got is, I think you cannot really ask for more. Really grateful for the team, for the job they've done, and I think we just need to keep up the momentum.
And what will you be doing before we race at Silverstone?
Probably in the simulator of Formula E, because I'm a development driver, so I'm always there, you know. So
you'll get used to that track in Tokyo and London, and we'll see you in Silverstone as the championship leader. Congratulations on another podium.
Thank you very much.
There we go. And Nikita Bedrin, as we move around and say congratulations. How does that feel, a podium in GB3?
It feels amazing. We've worked really hard this weekend, especially after qualifying dead last weekend, 2.5 seconds off. We've come back and made a brilliant comeback.
How tough was it out there? We know the VRDs have been very quick this weekend.
So we were quite not very trimmed in our aero compared to the VRD, so they were a lot quicker on the straights, but in the corners we could keep up, so we were just keeping DRS really, and when you saw Bedrin behind, it's quite hard to keep him behind. But we had a poor restart, so he got past there, but we just stuck behind him, waiting for all the trouble to happen.
And a lot of it is staying out of trouble as well. We talked about this earlier in the weekend, and you managed to do so. Good result for England last night, good result for you today?
Yes, yeah, brilliant.
Okay, well, we'll let you go and get your trophy now, celebrate with everyone, and congratulations once again.
Thank you very much.
There we go, fantastic way to end the weekend. Lewis McGlade will talk you through the podium after the highlights.
Highlights from round 12 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. The best start of the top lot came from Abby Pulling, but she had absolutely nowhere to go as Patricio Gonzalez would leave us into the opening corner ahead of his brother Rodrigo. There was this crash at the top of the hill after Lucas Flusha tapped the rear end of Max Rem. Abby Pulling and Rowan Campbell-Pilling also involved, with Flusha having to return to pit lane to repair the front wing. A safety car would come out. We'd be back racing with a great start from Nikita Bedrin. He found his way up from 12th position to 5th, and then from 5th into 4th as they were racing their way into the opening corner. A couple of big moves coming into the background, and some battling between the two XL cars of Ricardo Baptista and Lucas Flusha, as Flusha was trying to work his way forward. Aurelia Nobel's also battling with her teammate in Dante Vinci, and that allowed Martin Molar to come up the inside. Gilbert would be a retirement from the race, adding to the list as Aurelia Nobel's went wide at the opening corner. Further up, there was some contact late on, but unfortunately would change the podium. For Patricio Gonzalez, though, it was a first victory in the GB3 Championship from Bedrin and Wilson. Provisional race results, of course, will have that Gonzalez victory. He said he was disappointed. He would have loved to have had Rodrigo Gonzalez up there with him, but it wasn't to be. Patricio Gonzalez leads Bedrin and Wilson across the line. We'll see them on the podium in a moment's time with Molnar and Jax. Dante Vinci in 6th position with Lucas Flusha, unable to extend that podium streak in 7th. Aurelia Nobel's into the top 10 again, ahead of Peter Balzanellis and Jacob Mikolev. The race results behind that would see only 2 further finishes in Ricardo Baptista and Yuhao Fu. Retirements on the last lap from Rodrigo Gonzalez. Kyuho Lee also out, with Lewis Gilbert, Abby Pulling, Rowan Campbell-Pilling, Max Rem and Deegan Fairclough, a non-starter. Championship standings, 319 points for Nikita Bedrin, 106 points clear of Lucas Flusha. That is an entire weekend's worth of points. He has now nearly over the rest of the contingent. Martin Molnar in third position with Max Rem and Patricio Gonzalez in the top 5. Then it's Jax, Pulling, Lee, Campbell Pilling and Deegan Fairclough just about hanging on at the back end of the top 10. We'll head over to the podium to see our drivers take to their steps. Of course, for Nikita Bedrin, we'll see him in a second, return to the podium for a 9th time in 11 races. For Patricio Gonzalez and for Leon Wilson, though, it'll be a first podium for the pair of them. There's Leon Wilson into third position. There, of course, is Nikita Bedrin, who will win the Omologato 1 to Watch. That was obviously from the first 2 races, where he took both the victories. And, of course, onto the top step of the podium in this one. It will be Patricio Gonzalez for VRD Racing, who swept the weekend of results when it comes to the top step of the podium. I do also believe that Nikita Bedrin will win the Sunoco Fastest Driver of the Weekend award with the driver who sets the fastest lap in a race setting over the 3 races that we run on a weekend. A joyous time for Patricio. I'm sure, again, that in the back of his mind he'll be hoping that Rodrigo, for one, is all right, and also that one day he can join him on the podium. I suspect with the pace between the pair of them, they will get more opportunities over the final 4 rounds of the GB3 Championship. Plenty more time to see who's going to take further victories. No driver has more than 1 victory other than Nikita Bedrin in this championship. We've got ourselves, obviously, the wins from Rem, from Gonzalez, from Jax, from Abby Pulling, and from Jin Nakamura. No one else, and of course Deegan Fairclough. No one else has more than 1 victory. I said Max Rem there. Obviously, he's not actually taken the victory. He's only had podiums. They'll get the bubbles sprayed around before we'll have the Sunoco Fast Driver of the Weekend award handed, I believe, to Nikita Bedrin. And the bubbles do indeed get sprayed around. Not quite as dramatic. There's still quite a bit, but there's not quite as dramatic as we saw in the previous race when obviously Lucas Flusha has slammed it into the podium to get some bubbles absolutely flying. And obviously the patient wait for the drivers to get that out of the way before the Sunoco Fastest Driver of the Weekend award is handed to Nikita Bedrin once again this season. Fastest driver, most points, a first and a second. I've said before a few times about the most consecutive podiums in GB3 being 4, which obviously Lucas Flusha has. Technically, obviously Joel Gramfors also has, and technically it's also held by a couple of other drivers, but that was when there's been a cancelled race in between, so it doesn't technically count as much as doing it legitimately in 4 consecutive races. You get the feeling that Nikita Bedrin with 3 consecutive podiums here at the Red Bull Ring, that he'll have a very good opportunity to do it once we return to the home of British motor racing in a few weeks' time. And of course, that Silverstone circuit, which saw him take 2 victories to open the season, and an incredible lead in the championship that he had. We'll hand down, though, back to the podium to Jon Jackson to wrap things up after an incredible first weekend here at the Red Bull Ring.
Well, thank you very much, Lewis. That was the podium conducted by Richard Randall, the man behind all of the championship PR. Happy birthday to Richard Randall today. Does a great job behind the scenes, hates being on camera, and well done to Nikita Bedrin and his teammate Patricio Gonzalez, because for them, for VRD, it's been an exceptional weekend, and obviously Leon Wilson as well with his first podium. I can see his friends and family down there rushing to celebrate with him, so they're going to be having a great trip home all the way to the United Kingdom. But as I said to Nikita there, I don't know what the lead is. I'm sure it's been worked out by Lewis McGlade as we speak, but I imagine it was looking like it was going to be a 90-point lead. I imagine it's going to be triple digits now, so that is a huge lead going into the second half of the season. We only have a few weeks to wait until Silverstone. That's the first weekend of August. In the meantime, loads for you to check out. If you missed any of the races from the first half of the season, you can check out all the race reruns on the MSV YouTube channel, and you can check out everything from this past weekend on the GB3 social pages as well. Highlights will be uploaded within the hour, and of course Richard Randall's race Race blog will tell you everything you need to know, including any post-race decisions, if there are any penalties. And as Lewis said there, 19 penalties in that second race. I feel it was a little bit cleaner in that one. It's been a fantastic way to start our relationship here with Austria in the GB3 Championship. 3 great races, quite a few safety cars and a few incidents as well here at the Red Bull Ring. We'll have a few weeks off and we will see you the first weekend of August at Silverstone. And of course, if you fancy coming along and you're in the UK, you can get tickets on the GB3 and the MSV websites. We'll see you again soon in a few weeks. This has been the GB3 Championship here in Austria.